Hi, UCAT.
13, 6, 7, 15,
No.
14.
No.
What do you want from me?
You want the numbers, Mason. That's all we've ever wanted.
Make a stop. Ah! You probably clicked this video to learn how to ace your UCAT exam. Well, before you set off on your journey into the long, grueling, never-ending void of darkness upon where you'll find the most grotesque creatures wanting to gorge on your insides, watch this video. I'm kidding. It's not that scary. UCAT! First of all, what is this exam? The UCAT is an aptitude test to further differentiate the applicants. Basically, like, too many people have achieved so many amazing GCSE, A-level grades, all their personal statements are so amazing, and therefore they need a further test to set these applicants apart. The UCAT test consists of 5 sections. So you've got verbal reasoning, quantitative reasoning, abstract reasoning, decision making, and then the situational judgment test. An average score from 4 of these 5 sections will be calculated, and alongside your SJT score, that will form your UCAT. In this video, I'm going to be talking about your approach to your revision, what useful resources to use, and tips for the actual day of the exam. Approach to revision. Now, in the real, I think this exam is probably the hardest exam I've ever done in my life. So you need to take this seriously. Do not listen to people who say you can't revise for this exam. You must revise for this exam. Those people, those people are skunked.
I said I wanted to be skunked.
Now, I know this girl who revised for 3 months and managed to achieve an average score of 800, which is absolutely amazing. But for me, like, working for that long just wouldn't work. For me, I think I revised about 6, maybe 8, but like 6 proper weeks of revision. My logic was that I didn't want to burn myself out before the exam. You really want to peak just at your exam. And spending too long on your preparation might mean you're just done with it. And really, the UCAT is the type of exam where your actual performance on the day really matters. I would say, like, on one day you can perform really well, but on another day, if you're just off it or if you're just sort of burnt out, then I believe you would perform significantly worse. I'd recommend in your 6 to 8-ish weeks of revision that your first week is dedicated to reading on what the actual sections are and familiarizing yourself with the styles of questions within each section and also with the timings. The timings for this UCAT exam are so crucial. They're the most crucial thing, so make sure you learn that, and also spend the first week as well gathering resources that you're going to use in the next few weeks of your preparation. Then for the next 4 to 5 weeks focus on doing questions on a question bank and learning that way. And I would advise initially to not focus so much on the timing, but rather focus more on learning the patterns of the questions and developing your best method on how to answer these questions. So for me, when I was doing abstract reasoning questions, every time I saw a new pattern, I would always write it down, and I was making sure to practice using the mnemonic that I learned, scans, in order to answer these questions. So I was developing my best method for those type of questions. For verbal reasoning, I found that reading the question and then reading the answer options first before scanning the paragraph for the answer was best for me. Don't read the paragraph, like, scan it. There's a big difference there actually. Scanning it is just trying to pick out the relevant bits of information, and then reading it, like, you're just going to spend time like reading every word and trying to understand it. Like, I wouldn't do that. You just don't have the time or the facilities for that, big man.
I don't think you have the facilities for that, big man.
And I use this time as well just to practice scanning a paragraph and picking out the relevant information that I needed. For quantitative reasoning, oh my days, the number pad came in so clutch. You know, in those big like desktop keyboards, they've got the number pad. That made it so much quicker when using the online calculator for maths questions. I didn't have a number pad at home, so I had to practice using the keyboards in my school library, so just do that if you have to. And make sure you practice using the shortcuts, like stuff like slash is the divide button on a calculator on the number pad, and then the little star button is how you multiply the numbers together. For the SJT, firstly know that universities look at your average score and your SJT score separately. Meaning when people say their average score, it's the average score from 4 of the 5 sections. You actually get a number score for these, whereas for SJT, situational judgment test, you get like 4 bands. So band 1 is the best, band 2 is still good, Band 3 is sort of below what you should be aiming for, and then Band 4 is not that good. Basically, don't neglect your SJT practice thinking you can make up for it in the other sections, because you can't. And SJT, yeah, just be a narc. Narc! It'll often ask you about situations. For example, you know, you found out that your friend has cheated in an exam, so what are you going to do? And whilst in real life, yeah, you probably won't rat him out, yeah. In the exam, you'll have to choose the option where it says, you know, you'll encourage him to self-report, which is solving the situation locally, or if he doesn't agree to self-report himself, then you'll have to escalate the situation. So basically, you have to snitch on people. And then towards the end of this 4 to 5-ish week block of revision, you want to be doing questions in timed conditions. So about the timing, yeah, reading this off the Medic portal, verbal reasoning, the timing per question is roughly 28 seconds per item. And then for quantitative reasoning, it's roughly 40 seconds per item. And then for abstract reasoning, it's roughly 14 seconds. Decision making is roughly 66 seconds. SJT is roughly 23 seconds per question. Timing in this is so crucial. In my experience, when I did this test, the SJT, I remember having quite a bit of time at the end, but stuff like verbal reasoning, oh my days, I had to I ran out so much time, yeah, that I had to literally guess. I remember like more than 10 questions, or more, like 10 questions, I just had to bam, bam, bam. So it's good when doing questions at this stage to only spend a small amount of time for each one to really emulate the actual exam. Then the last week before your UCAT exam, you want to spend this time doing timed tests, like mock UCAT exams. This is you like stepping up from doing like just timed sections to actually doing like a timed mock test now. And after doing these full, you know, UCAT mock tests, write down your improvements and write down what you got wrong so that you don't do the same thing for the actual exam. And there's quite a few resources that you can use as question banks and mock UCAT exams online. What resources, I hear you ask? Well, that's a nice segue into the next section. The resources I use and that I recommend are Medify, the UCAT 1250 question book, Medic portal, and free practice tests online. When I tell you, yeah, there was a question on my real exam which was 99% the same as a question I did in a practice test. Son, I'm not gapping. It makes sense because these practice tests and these practice questions that these websites use are based on actual questions. Meaning people who work for these websites normally take the UCAT or the UCAT every year, and then after the exam they feed back to these websites and companies what were the questions that they were faced with. Plus with Medify and the question book, they contain actual information as well, which is useful to read in your first sort of week or two of preparation, so you can familiarize yourself with the sections and the style of questions that they may ask. Or you can learn any new techniques or methods that you haven't thought of for answering these UCAT questions. So I'll say those things, yeah, they're definitely cop, like Medify, the question book, and any sort of, you can find like free practice tests for UCAT and UCAT online, so definitely do those as well. Things you shouldn't invest in though, courses. It ain't it, chief. The course I attended, like in my experience, just wasn't worth the money. I mean, they charged so much, and for the value that I got, I just felt like it really wasn't worth it. I just didn't like it there.
I hate it here!
I remember the way they taught verbal reasoning, yeah, they taught us to like read the full passage and then do the questions, which I can kind of get as well, because normally for a full passage, you normally get 4 questions, I think, if it's the same, whereas when I did it, you get like 4 questions on one full passage, and therefore, if you've read the passage and you've sort of understood it, then theoretically you could just answer the question straight away, but just for me, it just didn't work. And again, for the value I got, it's just not worth the money. I mean, these companies, they can charge like so much for these courses, like £200 or more. And I mean, it's just my experience of the courses. There might be other courses that are better price and better value for money, but all I'm saying, yeah, is that don't be spending too much money on these things when there's so much help available online for either a much better price or for free as well. Tips for the day of the exam. This is what you've been working towards, okay? Don't panic. Palms sweaty, knees weak, arms spaghetti, mom spaghetti. Don't panic. What if I need toilet in the desk, man? Knees weak, mom spaghetti, down my sweater, mom spaghetti. Don't panic. Whatever you do, don't be sweaty on the test. If you're sweaty on the test, then you'll slip over your mouse and keyboard, and then don't panic. That's why you shouldn't panic. True story, yeah, on the day of my UCAT exam, man was getting ready, yeah, in the line, ready to show my ID to the lady at the desk, because, you know, that's what you have to do before the test. So I'm getting my wallet out, yeah, and I'm opening it, and I'm trying to find my ID. And guess what? I couldn't find it. Yo, I was panicking.
Now I'm panicking.
I was on the phone with my brother and my mum who dropped me off, and I was like, oh, you know, I can't find my ID. I was asking them to drive home, pick up my ID, and come all the way back in time for my test, which was gonna happen in like 3 minutes. But then, alhamdulillah, yeah, I do not know how I found it in my wallet. It was weird, like my wallet that I used to have, yeah, it had all these like crevices and like little like hidden, this was like literal a hidden chamber of secrets in my wallet. Anyway, I was so relieved that I managed to find my ID, because otherwise that would have meant that I would have to like rebook my UCAT exam, and that would have just been so long, especially because I was preparing for this like exact day. But yeah, on the day of your exam, do not worry, just stay calm and remember, timing is crucial. I'm pretty sure, yeah, in your UCAT, every question is worth the same amount of marks. I know the marking works differently in SJT, where you can get partial marks, and decision making, where I think the questions are worth 2 marks, but you can score 1 mark as well instead. I'm not sure, but basically, time allocation is so key in your UCAT. For example, quantitative reasoning, and there's like a long graph and a long paragraph for you to read, and you're just thinking, yo, like, this is gonna take a long time to both read and also work out. Then just put an answer down, flag it, and leave it till the end of that section. Remember, you can't leave it for the end of the exam, like it works in sections. So once you've finished a section, then you can't go back to that section, if you know what I mean. You have to move on to the next section. Because if you spend like so much time on that one question, then you're gonna compromise your attempts to the next 10 questions, which will probably be a lot quicker and easier than that one long question. Always put an answer down, bruh. Like, as I said, yeah, in verbal reasoning, I had to guess like 10 questions, but I guarantee you, out of those 10 guesses, that there would have been something. I would have got some marks out of that. And therefore, if I didn't put an answer down for those 10 questions, then I probably wouldn't have got the mark I did, which was 600, which is, you know, I think is a bit low, but considering I went into the exam knowing that was my weakest section, it wasn't like too bad. And I would have got a lot worse if I didn't make sure to actually put an answer down for all the questions. Take water, you're gonna need it. Back when I did it, you got breaks in between sections as well that you could take, so just drink water in this section and take a bit of a breather. Make sure you eat something before your exam, like Weetabix, porridge, bananas, like something to get the energy flowing. And wear gym clothes for the UCAT exam, because it's about to get sweaty up in here.
Nice.
And then straight after you've done the test, you're gonna get your results. I still remember being done, and I was so nervous. I walked up to the desk where the lady looked at the computer, printed off my results, folded it in a folded piece of paper, handed me the folded piece of paper, and I unfolded it and looked at it. 600 VR, 720 decision making, 750 quantitative reasoning, 800 AR, and band 2 in SJT. I looked at it and I thought, okay, like good, right? Like, I've got 600 VR, that's a bit low, but the other sections would have bumped it up. And I got my calculator. I remember walking down the stairs, and as I was walking down the stairs, I was like putting the average in the calculator. I'm pretty sure I think I calculated it wrong initially. I was like, wait, that doesn't look right. And then finally, when I did the average score, and I think it was like 717.5. I was so, I cannot describe. I was just overwhelmed with just happiness and just joy, and just, it was such a relief as well. So much pressure relieved. My eyes were like tearing up, and I left the building as well, and I called my parents to pick me up. And I remember seeing my parents' car like pulling up, and I just had like tears in my eyes. And then as soon as I got into the car, I just broke down crying. I just wept like a baby, because it was such a relief of pressure. Like, so I was so overwhelmed as well with happiness, because as I said, like, this exam was the hardest exam I've ever done in my life, and to come out with like a good score, a score that I was happy with, it just meant so much for me, and it was so good. But yeah, we made it, and if I can do it, then so can you. Yeah guys, hopefully you found this video helpful if you're preparing for UCAT exam. If you guys did enjoy this video or found it useful, please drop a like, subscribe, and drop a comment as well on what you'd like to see in the future. Apologies as well, I think it's gotten quite a bit darker. You can hardly bloody see the background now, man. My light doesn't work as well, like it's bloody skunk, man.